What is up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to another Dead to Me After Show. Today we're going to be discussing Season 1, Episodes 9 and 10, I Have to Be Honest, and You Have to Go. We'll be talking about condos, we'll be talking about confessions, and we'll be talking about lots and lots of crying. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss it.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the last Dead to Me After Show Season 1. I'm so excited. I'm a little bit sad.
Yes.
This has become one of my favorite parts of the week. Luckily, though, not to spoil too much for you, but we are renewed for Season 2.
Yes.
So exciting. So we'll be back in 2020, which is very, very exciting. As always, I'm Taylor Gates, and I'm joined by two really, really awesome panelists. To the far left, we have Anais.
What up?
And to the slightly less far left, we have Mia.
Hi.
Rocking some earrings today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Always bringing the statement earrings,
That's
you
like
know.
very Judy earrings. I feel like my shirt's
Yeah,
very
that's
Judy.
cute.
Like,
That's what I thought so
we
too.
really wanted to channel.
We're
A little
supporting
bit
her.
flowers,
She
too.
needs it.
She needs it.
in
She
these
needs
last two
some
episodes.
support. She needs some good vibes from us.
Got the
We're
florals.
just also excited to talk about this. We
Yeah.
not only are going to break down the episode, but we have an awesome game of Dead or Tread for you guys. We have some really, really cool news and lots of other goodies. Before we actually jump in to break down the episode, what did you guys think of these last two episodes? Like, did it just give you everything you wanted? Are you wanting more? Like, where are we standing?
Everything we wanted and more.
Yes.
I think we can all, maybe I'll say that. We'll dive into it. But I love that it started out episode 9 with the dance scene with Christina Applegate. It was so good. She's so good. But I'm like, now we need a musical episode in season 2.
yes.
I'm
That'd be
waiting in 2020, the Roaring 20s. It's going to be great. And then also when Nick started like screaming at Steve, like, I gave him a talking
Amazing.
to. I was like, oh, we're about to get served.
We
So
loved that.
it all started off great.
Yeah, I just was happy that it was like crazy but good, crazy good, and I like that we got a lot of more information about what happened the night that Ted passed away and the ending. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely jaw-dropping, but very exciting. We have a lot to look forward to for the next season. Let's start off by talking about that intro scene that you briefly touched on, because I personally loved the way episode 9 started out. I thought it was awesome. Jen was like just absolutely slaying in that dance studio, and then we had it kind of juxtaposed next to Judy, who's painting the self-portrait. I love how they both channel this sort of grief and like all these feelings through art, but like
Yeah.
very different
Yeah.
kinds of art, which I thought was really interesting. And Judy's painting just broke my heart because it was a self-portrait. Did you guys assume that the other paintings were the children she lost, or is that like how you interpreted it? I don't know. I just was like have been thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think at first like they were specific children she lost, but I don't think it really hit me until we saw the self-portrait, because before then we'd only seen like portraits of the
Right.
children. So
Yeah, I thought they were just like random kids. Sorry, but yeah, it made me sad to see that it was her, and thought everyone doesn't have a heart in all her pictures, or I don't know. I want to know
like
what that means.
something's missing. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And it was like obviously very sad because after we see that, we have her on the couch and we have like one of the best acting moments, I think, where Jen's like, you know, how are you feeling? And she's like, better. And you have her face just like trying to smile. I thought that was just like, that's what sticks out to me as like one of the best parts, that she's just like stick right in the middle of her acting
Yeah.
role, because she's just so good. And we have a very sweet moment. We have Henry making her the pancakes that aren't necessarily edible.
Aw.
Such
That
a
was
sweetheart,
cute.
though.
That was
Aw,
cute.
So cute.
Such a sweetheart.
It's the thought that counts.
It is the thought that counts.
Yes.
And we have Jen saying that she's family now. Were you guys surprised she said that? Did you think that was like a little soon, or did you think that it totally made sense?
No, I think it made sense. She asked her to move in, so I'd hope
Yeah.
she felt like family.
They've been
That's
through a lot
true.
together. They bonded real quick, so I think she's family now, and the kids love her. So
I know.
And I'm happy they finally got to conversation about the miscarriages too, because we saw a little bit at the retreat, but I think it took a long time to get into the emotional depth of Judy's trauma, as opposed to Jen's, where we dove right in from like the very beginning, episode 1. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting to see how they both like kind of were weights at the end of the beginning of the season, end of the season. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's so true. I thought it was, just thought it was a very touching moment with her, you know, taking in that that comforting role. But not all is, nearly as well. We have Nick doing his investigation still. He is obviously at TKG Arts at the end of the last episode, and we see him realize that, Judy's art is super expensive. Like, something just seems off to him, and he finally talks to Steve, asks about the Mustang, and is just very suspicious about it all. And then he goes to the Laguna PD, but they don't really believe him, trust him, because he is on a psychiatric leave. Were you worried that he was getting so close, or did you think that someone else would step in and find a way to kind of defuse it?
He found out. It was kind of obvious. I mean, you would have to be kind of dumb to not really put it together. I think he had enough clues, and I was just thinking, Judy, it's kind of your fault. You can kind of fed him a lot. You gave him a lot to go off on, so you're gonna get found out.
Retweet.
Yeah. And Steve is obviously very much not happy with this, which, fair enough, kind of. But he goes to Judy's work, and before we see him do that, I thought it was really sweet that Judy asked for the raise to help with the mortgage, too, because it shows that she also feels like part of the family and wants to help. I thought that was great. And Steve is pretty livid, and he drops a bomb saying that if it comes down to it, she's the one taking the fall. He's not going to take any of the responsibility for it. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that that's fair?
Excuse me, no. You're the one that told her to turn around. She was trying to do the right thing, and you told her to turn around. So it's your fault, too, that she committed the crime, because the crime was the running part, and that's what you pressured her to do. So you're also at fault. I think it's 50-50.
I just have to say, how dare he? You know what I realized when he just stormed into Judy's job like this and was going off? I think it's funny you see the juxtaposition between, like, Judy going to Steve's job and then Steve coming to her job and then Judy going to Steve's house and Steve coming to her house, or to, like, find her at Jen's house. And he labels her as crazy, and then all the people in the office are like, she's crazy. But there's no one, like, when he comes in, it's just normal. You know what I mean? Like,
you're so right.
And that's crazy. The whole thing is crazy to me. Judy's not crazy for that. She had to, like, confront him how she wanted to, but it's so funny that he gets, like, no punishment and repercussion, whereas, like, she's called crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good point. The only one, you're right, really there who even tries to kind of stand up for her comforter is our pal Abe. The absolute best.
Ugly cries.
I love this moment. He tells her, like, listen, you do not let Steve push you around. He's just such a comforting guy, and I just love him for it.
Yeah.
And I love how she took that advice and completely ran with it, because she goes right to the Laguna PD right back and says that Steve is a money launderer, leads into the files. I thought this was
girl.
Yes, such a savage moment.
Yes.
I don't think we've seen her, like, we've seen her snap in ways, but this felt like the most, like, not out of character, but, like, I feel like she's channeling some of Jen in this situation. Just, her savageness.
Jen energy. Big Jen energy.
Big Jen energy. Wait.
Another shirt?
Hashtag.
So many now.
Hashtag insurance. There we go.
Netflix, please, just, like, make this merch. Like, we will purchase it. It will fly off the
I
shelf.
use pen so I can write this.
Obsessed. Just obsessed. Meanwhile, we have Judy and Steve on one side, and then we have Jen on the other, who ends up going to Lorna and asks if she can. Oh wow, I see. Yikes! There. What's that reaction? Just jump right in.
I can understand how that would hurt, having to do that. Go kind of almost like beg for a job, to go to someone that doesn't like you and you don't like. You must be in a desperate situation to do that. So I just felt for Jen.
Yeah, agreed. But it does show kind of, like, backtracks on whatever Lorna was saying a couple episodes ago at the birthday party about her, not being the motherly type, because she does. She sacrifices so much for these kids. She just does it in her own sort of unique way. And so as much as I hated her having to do that, like, for her, I thought it was really sweet that she's, like, she will do anything for her family, including, sucking up to her mother-in-law to get that job back. I like that we learn more about the night Ted died through this scene as well. We learn that Ted actually called Lorna that night, and she didn't answer because she was under the influence of sleeping pills, I guess. And Jen actually kind of reaches out and has a bit of an olive branch in that moment. It's like, it's not your fault. Do you think that was a comforting moment, or do you think that she just feels guilty about the involvement that we later learn that it was more like she actually believes it in that way?
I think she feels a little bit guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out of guilt.
And maybe it was a little bit of comfort, too.
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of all of it, they're family, and even though they may have some friction, I think it's probably a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, because it's true, and we do see maybe a little bit of that. We'll get into it later, but with the whole Charlie situation, I would be interested to explore more of Jen and Lorna, actually, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that we have determined that they are sort of similar in different ways, even though they're, like, very much butting heads all the time. But I think that relationship is really interesting, and that was really interesting to see between the two of them, too. We also have Jen really trying to prove herself for her, to, like, prove that she earned this position and, like, can really be a good employee for her. And we have her showing Steve the condos. What did you guys think of that?
Trash. He is trash.
Yeah. I mean,
trash.
I'm not even surprised. I actually, I think the first time they met, maybe in the first episode, I thought he's going to somehow try to hit on her or hook up with her or something, so I kind of saw it coming. I was like, oh God, Steve.
Just the sketchiest snake, I'm telling you.
I'm so glad she didn't fall for it, though.
Me
because
either.
maybe he could be so charming that maybe she would have fallen for it, but I'm glad she stayed strong. Like,
Yeah,
no.
me too.
Yeah, even if so, I think that she does have that loyalty to Judy now, which is good. And I like how she kind of is doing it in a way that's, like, not trying to help him anymore. It's definitely trying to help herself, because we have Judy offer up the debit card of his earlier, which I think is so great. And eventually he agrees to pay her $8.6 million in cash, which
Casual.
Like, you can't argue with numbers like that. So I was like, good for you. Get that bread, girl.
Get that
Let's
bread.
do it.
Get
Let's
that
get that
coin.
bread. And so obviously she goes off to celebrate immediately, as you should if you get $8.6 million sale and hefty commission from that, and buys a bunch of new stuff, including Charlie's new laptop. Thought that maybe that would mend the relationship a bit, but that's not the case, unfortunately. He says that he is going to live with Lorna, which he threatened at the top of the episode, but actually ends up following through on. Were you guys surprised that wasn't just, like, something he said, something he ended up actually doing?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I was. And I actually, in this moment, how before you were talking about Lorna and Jen and whether it was, like, empathy and comfort, based on Lorna and her face and her reaction to this when she came to pick up Charlie, I actually think she felt bad.
Yeah.
She had a moment, and she said something snarky, and she was like, well, okay, like, thanks for doing that sale, like, see you tomorrow, or whatever she said, but in a moment, I think she did feel kind of bad about it, yeah.
I think we see it at the beginning of that scene, especially, and then at the end she kind of, like, she cracks a joke about, like, you know, being all business at the sale, but I agree, I think there are, like, flickers of empathy, because, like, they do sort of have an idea of what each other is going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt so bad for her, and Charlie mentions that it's, you know, not just about the laptop, it's about what happened the night Ted died. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sure we're not going to figure out what happens for, you know, a long time, but we actually get it, like, in the next scene, which I was like, yes, we get some answers right away. Like, the payoff is so quick. I love that. I mean, not super quick. It's been burning since, like, episode 1, but, you know, that explicit comment. So let's talk about Jen's confession. Wow, that was some heavy
Judy's
stuff.
confession?
Let's talk about Jen's.
Jen,
And
sorry.
then, yeah, we have
so many confessions.
We have back-to-back confessions.
There's a lot of confessions.
Whoops.
It's all
Oh,
good.
sure. What?
Absolutely crazy. Jen and Judy are sitting by the pool, and pretty much all hell breaks loose. Jen talks about the night that Ted died, about how they had a fight, about how he hadn't touched her since she got her mastectomy, which I thought was just, like, such a real and very sad detail. Did you guys expect that to be kind of where it stemmed from?
No. Didn't see that coming at all.
I didn't know he was so shallow. I mean, you're already a cheater, but you're shallow too. I thought maybe it was her anger. That would be a little bit more understandable why maybe that was causing a lot of problems, but yeah.
I have to say it was interesting commentary on just like blame and also just like shame in situations. And so, of course, like Jen thinks it's her fault. When like, how is it her fault when like he wouldn't touch her after mastectomy and she didn't feel very loved, and then, you know, like she just put a lot of the blame on herself, and I think that was like pretty interesting. The same thing with like just kind of like some toxic masculinity, like Charlie also blaming his mom for what happened for walking out, and he doesn't really know, you know, the situation, even though they were fighting it right in front of him. It's just the themes going on in that moment I thought were very interesting, but also I have to say, I wanted a little bit more. Like, I wanted for the build-up to be that big and for Jen to have a confession. It was just like, I hit him, and then he walked out. I was like, no, I wanted something juicier. Like, you just hit him. I mean, that's not okay. But still, I was like, oh, I wanted something. I wanted it to be like an explosion of something, you know? I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but...
that makes sense. I did really like that is kind of where it did stem from, though, just because I think, like you were saying, the themes and the commentary, I think it's such a commentary on, like, femininity as well, and, like, what makes you feel like a woman and like empowered, and the fact that we had planted this back in like the scene when they go see Bambi at the global restaurant, and I like how they kind of carried that plotline through. And I'm also really kind of interested because I know that we know Christina Applegate like is the one who suggested that be kind of a facet of her character. Like about her having the mastectomy and the breast cancer. It was like her idea for the storyline. So the fact that she, I guess, influenced the storyline that much and like one of the really like the peak conflict area, I think is really kind of interesting and kind of cool, but obviously really, really sad at the same time. So yeah, we get that whole breakdown, which is beautifully acted, saying that like he couldn't even be in the same room as her. She feels guilty. She thinks she killed him, and she keeps repeating that she hit him. Like, I hit him, I hit him. And then we have Judy say, she hit him. She hit him. That transition, like what writing right there.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And that pause right after, like that flicker on Jen's face, like can we just like dissect that moment? Like what were you guys thinking and feeling during that? Because I think that was like the epitome of the show for me.
I was just thinking, oh shoot, what's gonna happen now? Just bracing myself for some explosion.
Yeah, I was so scared because Jen was abnormally quiet. Jen's never that quiet. And I was like, what is going to happen? She just kept letting Judy talk. And I was like, where is this going? Yeah.
Kind of like the teapot kind of thing. You're just like, it's like boiling. And I was kind of waiting for that moment.
She was so hurt. She was really hurt.
Yeah, because we've built up the fact that, like, loud and angry is kind of normal for her. So the fact that she's so quiet is, like, scarier than definitely scarier than the pilot when she yelled at her.
Oh, yeah.
Her just looking at her, like, dead in the eye. Like, oh, what a great choice to do that. It was just waiting to see that final explosion was, like, so terrifying. Yeah. I did feel still bad for Judy in this moment, though. Like, she's asking, you know, her to forgive her, saying that it was dark, like, there was a bend. She, you know, is just kind of explaining that she just wanted to be her friend and she ended up loving her so much. And I think that's a testament to how, you know, they've developed this character, like someone who's, you know, admitting murder. Yeah. And we all feel bad for her. Did you guys also feel for her in the scene? Yeah. Whew. And then we have Jen say that the only way she can fix this is that she can die. And then she walks in the house.
That was... Oh my gosh, that was
hurt.
Yeah, it hurt hearing that.
It did.
My heart hurt
me.
My heart.
Woo. Wow, like what a moment. Yeah. That's not how it ends though. We get a couple more little scenes after that hint at the future and just rubbing salt in the wound because Judy goes to her like only other pal, the only person that's on her side, and Abe is dead. Most crushing moment of the season? Question mark.
Yeah, question mark, exclamation mark.
Gosh.
That hurt.
Because it's just like literally you're kicking her when she's like never been lower.
Yeah.
And then she never even got to say goodbye, which makes it even worse.
That was ad-lib too, fun fact.
Oh, really?
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
That when she said that she never got to say goodbye.
Oh. Like, honestly, just the fact that actors are bringing so much to this makes the show another level of just amazing and painful at the same time. We also get a little teaser. Jen grabs a gun. And you know the old saying, like, when there's a gun introduced, like, it's gonna be used before this whole thing's over. So there's a yikes there. Before we talk about the finale episode, what is happening here at AfterBuzz TV? Because even after, this show ends, we still have shows going on here.
We have so many shows going on, and we just want to stop for a second and just say thank you guys so much for watching this show, for watching AfterBuzz as a network. You guys are making us the ESPN of TV talk, so that's just really great, and we're really grateful for you all. If you have a moment, comment below. We love comments on this show. We read them all. We reply to them. So leave one below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, to this channel, to all the AfterBuzz channels, because there's more than one. And then give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. That's how we keep making content. Just thank you so much. I know it means so much to all of us that we get to talk about TV, something we love, especially this show. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, guys, definitely check us out because we're not going anywhere. We're still very active on this network, even when Dead to Me is on its hopefully very brief hiatus.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Put it out next week. I'm
yes.
just kidding.
All right, guys, let's talk about this finale. The intro scene, incredible. I love the really happy music playing while Jen is just trashing the guest house.
How did she get that much stuff?
I know, Judy
she
really
has
acquired
so many things.
She really did. I don't know. I wonder what the time span's supposed to be.
Did she get a bunch of her stuff from storage?
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anais pays attention.
I know also because I have a lot of stuff too. So I would have a lot of things in there.
Oh my gosh.
Well.
And I love the people installing the video cameras and stuff. They didn't even question it.
It's such a good
is smoking
opening.
a cigarette, burning clothes in a grill.
We're just getting
and they're
paid.
we're just here to we're getting paid.
It's fine.
So.
You'll have that. Like
We'll
ADT too. I love
we
how
see crazy rich people do crazy stuff all the time. So.
That's a good point. And then we also get these parallel religious ceremonies, which I thought was super interesting because this show is all about the yin and the yang and the juxtaposition of two very different things, which I think is cool. We have Henry getting baptized. God bless him. Holy Harmonizers have finally, just gotten to his soul, which is amazing. Jen is not thrilled about it, which I think is just very in character for her. And interesting that we have such an anti-religious person on television because I feel like that's pretty rare. So it's kind of interesting. But then we also have Judy attending the ceremony for Abe, and she's finding a lot of comfort in it. What did you guys think of that? Because she's inquiring about heaven or hell, maybe a little worried that she's going to be going to hell. I just want to know what you guys thought about the ceremony scenes.
I thought I liked that, it was interesting, very different, I guess, that Judy was, more finding comfort into it. She was actually enjoying it, and Jen was like, oh my god, get me out of here. So I think, you can find who you can relate to there in those situations, and, I think it was kind of an important, I guess, lesson about forgiveness.
Yeah.
So it was nice to hear.
Yeah. And I think it was interesting to see, the comment you made about Jen. She's sitting there, she doesn't agree with the whole baptism, but I think she's a better mom than she thinks she is, because sometimes it's not all about being there physically. She's working hard to provide for her family, but I think it's also just in the parenting, and to let him be baptized and do what he feels like he needs to do and support that, and maybe make your comments aside, but still be turn around and be we're rooting for you. That's a good mom,
True.
So I thought that was really interesting. And then of course the whole the juxtaposition was pretty cool too, because it's all a part of grief and getting over.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point that you bring up about her, allowing her kids to kind of do their own thing as long as it's not selling drugs at school, which is, I feel like, a fair boundary to have. We also have the house tour scene kind of directly after this. We have, we find out that Steve has pulled out his deposit for obvious reasons that, aren't apparent to Jen, but are very apparent to us. And we get Lorna, who is just, kind of furious at Jen and letting her, know that in a very kind of subtle, not necessarily subtle, but she's like, go pass out these pinwheels and clean the bathroom. I was like, you are just a piece of work, aren't you? And we get Jen sneaking up on her. I love how we have Judy sneaking up on her, we have Jen, furious, and Judy's still like throwing out compliments. You look really nice
I know.
today.
So
Classic.
Judy. Yeah, classic Judy. Yes.
Honestly, though, what did you guys think of that scene? It was one of my
First
favorites.
of all, I love dresses, and I love Judy's green dress.
Her
This
wardrobe
is
is
just
amazing.
fashion.
Yeah.
I love dresses. So
Looking good, girls.
And that scene was just, I thought it was so just intense. You know, you could just feel like Christina Applegate, you know, Jen's fury. It was amazing. I love them. They're amazing. So.
Yeah, I thought this was a really standout full circle moment from first episode, just because I immediately, when I saw this, I thought back to the episode when they were sitting by the poolside, they had just met, and they were watching TV, and Jen told Judy, like, oh, you don't want to be on the receiving end of my anger. And then this, to me, was, like, the biggest blow-up. We think about all other times, like, Jen has maybe yelled at her, but this was, like, the biggest, and I thought that was really interesting.
She said the F word so many times in the scene.
Yeah.
But did it so well.
Yeah,
Added so much flavor to each one.
Exactly.
I also, but, like, it was so intense, but there were, like, some, like, honestly, I laughed out loud at some points, though, just because of their dialogue was just, like, so good back and forth. Like, Judy's like, I promise I'll turn myself in. And she's like, well, I already turned you in. You're a sociopath. It's like, that's kind of fair. And then she warns her about the gun. So, you know, we're bringing up the gun again, which is yikes. And speaking of that, we have Jen and Karen. So we bring back another person from the pilot. Like, which was so funny because it sort of paralleled the casserole scene that we started back with way before we knew.
That's the bookend.
Yeah.
The series is Karen.
I'm a
the
sucker
casserole.
for a good bookend. So I thought that was so good.
Yeah.
And Jen asked her to hang out. Were you guys surprised, like, that she even wants a new friend at this point?
Oh, no, I mean, I thought, I don't know, I thought it was nice of her to give Karen a chance because she thought, me, you know, I've been screwed over by all these people, or these people just hate me. You know, I've been abandoned by everyone. No one wants to be around me anymore. Karen seems to want to hang out because she gave me a casserole, so let me give her a chance.
I love that her name's
You know?
Mexican lasagna.
I mean,
Nice
Christian
name.
doesn't really want to work with me. You know, I don't have, you know, a guy. Lorna hates me. My kids hate me. Well, not Henry, but, you know, so let me have one person my age that, you know, it's just my friend, didn't betray me, and
Yet.
And I think that kind of says a lot, and I never really, I guess, thought about that part specifically, but it says a lot about Jen, too, because she's a hard exterior, but I think she just doesn't really want to be alone. Like, she
It's just
needs
a
a companion. She
just,
needs someone, you know?
all of us, you know, as humans, we need some kind of companionship. You know, everyone wants to be alone all the time. You know, we want to feel some connection to other human beings at one point, because, you know, when they put people in solitary confinement, they go nuts. You need some kind of, like, human interaction at least once in a while.
Everyone needs a Judy.
That's so true. And while Jen and Karen don't exactly hit it off as friends, like, at all.
Yeah, so weird.
Jen gets, I feel like, what she kind of always wanted out of it, which is she wants Karen to train her how to use this gun. And Karen also drops a great piece of information that definitely comes back, which is if someone is not leaving your property and you want them to, you can totally shoot them. So, yeah, we're just gonna plant that little seed. At that point, I knew. I was like, some's dying before the season is over. Like, there's too many hints for it not to happen.
Yeah.
But who it was a little bit of a surprise, but we'll get to that. We also have Judy being really sweet with the money and the kids still. She withdraws every single thing from her bank account, which makes it so Steve can't do it later, which is like, good for you, Judy. Way to get it right off the get-go. And goes to Holy Harmonizers practice. Just like the best scene in the whole world.
I was getting kind of, I mean, that was sweet, but also, Judy, I love you, but sometimes you put yourself in situations. I mean, Jen told you, stay away from my kids, and you're still gonna go, okay, like, oh my God, I know.
Let's go watch the Holy Harmonizers.
I understand, yes, you're really kind, but do you want to get shot, girl? Like, do you want to get shot? Why?
That's a valid concern.
Yes.
But the scene, besides being a little bit dumb, is very sweet.
Yes.
She gives Henry the bird, which obviously has connotations considering he thinks that it's his father. But not only that, it has, we later find out, $500,000 in it from that bank account, which I thought was really sweet and really selfless. Were you guys expecting there to be that twist?
I think it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. It's
just because
Judy,
she mentioned the
so,
account earlier.
And she wanted to help out in the previous episode, you know, the raise and everything. So it's like, okay, this is my way of helping out.
Right. And we get, when Jen finally sees that bird, she's like very concerned about Henry's well-being for, good reason, and says, like, look, you can't talk to Judy again. If anyone comes near this house, like, you let me know. And kind of right as if on cue, like, the alarms start going off, which
that was scary.
I know. I was like, I don't think it's Judy. I don't know. It turns out to be Charlie, and they have a really, really sweet conversation in their typical Bantry way, like telling each other not to be assholes anymore, which I thought was super funny and super in character.
They're alike.
For the both of them. They are alike. Yes. I really like that moment. Thought it was sweet, though, because I think it tied up a lot that's been, like, building since the pilot, too. And I'm sure we'll have, more pill-selling situations in the future, but maybe not to that extent now that we've maybe made up. Right after Charlie comes home, we have another visitor, Steve. He is being his typical Steve self. He's, super, super angry, looking for Judy. And then he also starts talking about the night of the accident. And he makes it all about himself. He's like, I feel like we're in this together. It was one of the worst moments of my life, too.
Over him.
I hate him.
Let's expand on those grunts.
Oh, yeah, before you had said, it's every man for himself, and now you're like, shut up. Oh, I'm so tired of it.
I just knew something bad was going to happen. As soon as he walked in, it wasn't a shock to me, the ending, honestly, just because after, like you said, there's so many hints. This show, the thing is, it has twists, but they've hinted at every single thing that has happened. And so I was like, it's going to be one of them. Like, Steve either brought a gun because he's going to do something bad to Jen, or it's the other way around. So
yeah, for sure.
Still crazy.
So crazy. There's a lot of tension built there, obviously. And I love that Jen is still defending Judy in ways, especially with Steve, because I think she hates Judy, but I think it's pretty much even, like, how much she hates both of them here, maybe even.
But also, I think because she's gotten to know them both, she knows Steve is pretty much just a douchebag through and through. So, and Judy, she's seen her kind moments and everything, so she's probably going to defend her a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I love that. And she finally was putting everything together, like, okay, Judy might have been the one driving, but he's the one that didn't let them go back. Like, he's, just as if not even maybe more responsible for...
Because the crime is running.
The crime is running. No car, no crime. We've learned so much this season. But it eventually escalates. He said he's not leaving until she tells her where Judy is, and we see her pull a gun. We don't hear any gunshots or anything, but at the same time, we see Judy, who was walking along the same road that Ted was killed on, which I thought was just so heartbreaking, seeing all the passing cars. Were you guys terrified during that?
I kind of saw it was coming, because she kept saying, like, I'm going to, want you to die.
She's going to, do something like that, so it was a surprise.
Thankfully, the car does stop, though, and then she sees that she has a call from Jen saying, look, you need to come home, which I love how she called it home, because it's like she's still part of the family.
That was cute.
And we see the final shot, which is Steve face down in a pool, not alive.
What the frick?
Scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you?
I don't know.
Well, you didn't watch all of it at first, so yeah, how surprised were you?
I mean, I didn't think he was gonna. I didn't think he was gonna die. I just thought maybe some kind of confrontation was gonna happen, so I was a little shocked, but happy. Weird.
Yeah, I would say like a 5, because like I said, like it was like something was gonna happen, and Susie walked in, you knew it was bad news, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was satisfying, but it kind of was. It kind of was.
And also just the way it was shot, too, made me like it more. Just the composition of it, yes.
So good. So that kind of ends the actual breakdown portion of it, but we have something that ties right into it. Mia, what is our dead or tread question today?
So we have our final dead or tread question. We're just doing one. Da-na-na-na-na, because it's the ultimate question, the whole question of the entire season 1. So, if your best friend confessed to the murder of your significant other, would they be dead to you? Or would you move forward and just tread lightly?
Well, I think for me it depends on the motive. Like, if it was an accident, I would be more understanding. Yes, I would be upset, but if it's an accident and, I can tell you're visibly upset and you feel remorse, then I would have some more sympathy. But if you're like, I freaking wanted to kill your husband, then obviously you're dead to me, So I think for me, I would take that into account. So.
I don't know. I feel like I would hopefully be able to forgive them, but I don't know that I'd be able to, like, hang out with them and see them all the time. I think that just reminds me too much of it, so I'm not sure I'm a strong enough person to do that. Maybe dead.
Yeah, sometime in the middle. I don't know. I feel like that's hard. It's really hard, and this is what this whole series explores. It's like this whole gray area, right? Gosh, I don't know. I agree. I would say maybe dead to me.
Yeah.
Maybe dead to me, because even if it was an accident, like, what if it was this situation, you moved in with me.
Also,
you're my friend, you lied to me this whole
there's
time.
a lot of layers.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of layers as well. If you were straight, like, if it was an
secret.
accident, you were straight up honest with me right away, then I'll take that into account. Okay, it was an accident, you were honest with me. But if you lied to me, then it's harder for me to forgive you, because I just don't like liars in general. So do not freaking lie
like,
to me.
we get it, you're considering my feelings, and, like, you didn't want to tell me for a long time, but at the same time, come on, girl.
I respect you more if you're just honest. Just give me the harsh truth, because it hurts even more when you found out that they were lying to you the whole time.
Secret
so
That's fair.
And we have a consensus.
Yes, boom. We figured it out. We also have some really cool news besides just having a season 2, which is obviously probably the most exciting news of all.
So, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about a fan theory real quick about who might have killed Steve, because we don't actually see him get shot.
Oh,
so,
snap.
A genius, somebody called him genius here, not me,
Karen?
Cosmopolitan, somebody on Reddit said that it was Karen.
Oh,
what? Because they said that her surprise return in the final episode was not an accident, and that they were saying that, according to the theory, Karen snuck back over to see what was going on after Jen's alarm went off, and so she heard the argument between, like, Jen and Steve and everything. So she was the one that ended up shooting him, because the way he was on the, like, laying on the pool means it was shot from the back. So it was somebody that shot him from the back, and
It's
Jen
like
was in front of him.
Forensic expert here.
So
wait, can I throw something else
go.
in there? Maybe Charlie, because isn't he have a gun too?
Well, no, somebody said they said that it couldn't have been
away.
Charlie, because he went inside the house and they had taken the gun away from him.
Yeah.
So
Who knows? He could have not given it back. I don't know.
And another piece of news is why Liz Feldman talked about why they never showed Ted's face. You never saw him the whole show, and that was on purpose, because this is Jen and Judy's story. That's why. She said that she was hoping that you would be able to feel for Jen without ever needing to see Ted. And she said, I've seen the presentation before of these idealized dead husbands or idealized person that our hero has lost. And she thought it was more interesting to see it through Jen's eyes and experience it all through her and not look to her past. And she said that Dead to Me is a story about two women whose lives are specifically not defined by the men with which they once cohabitated with. And she said, my goal was always to show an example of a strong female friendship that was really complicated, but at the source of it was genuine love and support and intimacy. And also a really cool fact is that Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini had not met before they filmed this show, so them kind of bonding, their friendship was kind of like genuine on screen. They were bonding kind of on screen, so I thought that was really cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think you can tell it feels very authentic and like it really built up.
Yeah,
that's awesome though, guys. Unfortunately, we are out of time. There's just always so much to talk about here. But I want to hear your guys' predictions. I want to hear the fans' predictions. So, where can everyone find you guys on social media so people can find out your predictions and share theirs with you as well?
You can find me on Instagram at morethanyoutthink7. And my quick prediction is that, quoting the Steve Miller Band, they're going to take the money and run to Mexico.
I love it.
Jen and Judy.
Great.
Yes.
Thelma and Louise, Judy and Jen. Okay, you can find me on Instagram at yours truly Mia, Twitter at Hot Mess Mia. They're all the same. And I think that we're going to get more dark secrets are going to come out about Ted. We're going to find out more about their background. Yeah.
I love it. You guys can find me on Twitter at alpha_Ann Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. My mom's prediction is that they're going to hide Steve's body in one of the condos. I really like that. I'm going to roll with it. So we will see you guys next season, season 2. And until then, we'll buzz you later.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.